We're finally sorting out the team dynamics. We're flying high in the Premier League. Outside chance of a Europa League qualification spot this season. So what does Kev do? Signs 4 new players. Hello and welcome to part 145 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have probably two of the hardest games of our season. I'll put this out up front. We're going to lose both games today. We're at home against Arsenal, who are second in the league, and away against Manchester United, who are 12 points clear of Arsenal at the top of the league. We're, though, sat nicely on 19 points, exactly at the halfway point of the season. 19 games, halfway point of the season, 32 points in 7th place. Only 3 points away from Chelsea in 5th place. If we manage to have an incredibly unlikely result against Arsenal, we'd actually only be 5 points behind them. Man United, we're not going to win the league this year, but we could sneak into those European qualification spots if all goes well. It has been reasonably good form since you were last with me. A couple of very good results. 4-1 at home to Chelsea was a particular highlight. But in true Nuneaton style, we followed it up with a 1-0 away defeat against Crystal Palace. But the fact that we're now capable of results like that against Chelsea and that against Liverpool, I mean, to be fair, looking at that, Arsenal are due a 4-1 defeat today, because that seems to be what we do when the big boys come to town these days, unless those big boys are Man United, and then we still lose to them because they're Man United. But I promised you transfers, and transfers I have. There's nothing major. There's probably one of these who will be a regular part of the first team for the rest of this season. We're raiding Eastern Europe and South America, filling out the squad with promising youngsters, because it seems to be it's our new version of signing all of the youth team rejects from the Premier League. So signing number 1, this one we actually arranged back in September, so I think I've mentioned him before. Bosko Kovacevic is an 18-year-old Serbian under-21 international. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've signed him early enough that he will become homegrown because he's 18. Let me know down in the comments if I've understood that right. He was born New Year's Eve 2017. So could he even be the first player we've signed who was born after we started this save? Because we started this save in November 2017. That is terrifying. That's when you know you're in a long-term save, when you've got players signing for you who didn't exist when you played your first match for the club you're still managing now. But Bosko's a 2-star current ability, 4.5-star central midfield player. We did have an immediate offer from Bologna to take him on loan in Italy for the year, but he's just turned it down. He'd happily sit in our under-23s. He's not registered for our Premier League squad. There's no room for him, so he'll just sit in our under-23s unless someone else wants to take him on loan. Someone who is going straight into our squad, though, Jonathan Cupler, is another 18-year-old. He was born even earlier. 18 years old, 14 caps for the under-20 team of Uruguay and 4 goals. Interestingly, he seems to be a bit of a goal-scoring right-back. 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. So he is our best right-back by a long way, and he's still only 18. Not only that, he scored on his debut for us, and it was one of those crosses that just ends up going into the back of the net. But still, 1 game, 1 goal. He'd only previously played 9 goals in his career for Club Nacional in Uruguay. So only 10 games in his career so far, apart from those under-20 appearances. 2 goals. What's that? As a career, 24 games, 6 goals. I mean, you'd be happy with that from an attacking midfielder. So Cupler, goal-scoring right-back, and look at that for a career average rating so far, including 1 game in the Premier League. Another youngster, Igor Jokic, is obviously he's Serbian. We've got to sign a Serbian. 18-year-old. Was he born? No. Yes. I'm getting confused about years now, because the other fella wasn't born before the same. Kev, your brain's not working. This guy was born even later, so even younger. Another 18-year-old. I'm hoping all these become homegrown, or else this transfer policy doesn't work. 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. And then lastly, this is just a straight swap for Mulan, who wants to leave. Masoud Lakgar, 24-year-old Algerian international. He's only 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, but that makes him as good as Fazio, as good as McAllister as a central midfield player, and better than Mulan, better than Stojanovic. He was at Arsenal, but he spent the last several seasons out on loan at various clubs, Rangers, Metz, Lille, but we've just snapped him up out of his loan deal at Lille to bring him in permanently to us, to just add us a little bit of strength in our midfield, and we've moved Mulan straight out of the squad. He can leave now. He was going to leave in the summer, but we didn't have a replacement for him. Lakgar now becomes that guy. So this is the team we're putting out there for the Arsenal game. We've got Vujicic in goal, a back four of Joksimovic, Brodic, Holmqvist and Kupler, with Fazio, Stojanovic and Hayes in midfield and Nuhu in behind Jensen and Kerr. Let's get into this game and see if we can pull off another 4-1 home win against the big boys. I'm not expecting to. I fully expect to lose both these games. I think I made that pretty clear at the start of the episode, but, you never know. Yes, we're a good team. Yes, Rwanda's injured, by the way, for the next month. That's why Stojanovic is in the team. Any team, I don't care about who's not playing for Arsenal. Yes, we want to win every match. Rwanda's injured for the rest of the transfer window, which is probably no bad thing because he's still our only team leader and Dortmund want him. So the fact that he's now going to be injured for the whole of the transfer window is probably a blessing in disguise because it means they shouldn't come in with an offer for him, which means we don't have to turn down an offer for him, which means we don't have to upset him. So although it means we're without him for a month, I think we've got enough points on the board, points in the bag, that we can afford to have a bit of a dodgy month without him, have him come back in February and end the season strongly with us. And that's better than have him in the team now, but head turned, getting a bit grumpy before we can bring through some more of these team leaders. Vujicic, I think, is about to emerge as a team leader. Nuhu is getting there as well. And I would like to have 3 all the way through our charge up the league. We always had 3. By the way, talking of our charge up the league, there's been movement around previous club legends behind the scenes. Joe Anderson has left the club. He's gone to become new manager of Gloucester in the National League South, I think. He was our under-18s manager previously. And we've talked before about Luca Ercolani. So I went straight to Luca Ercolani and said, right, the job's yours, lad. And he went, boss, I'm managing this lower league Italian team now, and would you believe he is? I had to Wikipedia the team he's managing just to verify they exist. It seems as there's a good 80% chance they do, and he seems to be happier doing that than being at a real club. So Luca Ercolani turned the job down. So we brought in another blast from the past, not quite the same legendary status as Joe Anderson or Luca Ercolani, but Miles Darwin is our new under 18 manager. He's, if you remember, he almost ruined us when we signed him for £1 million in the Championship, got relegated, but then managed to sell him for £1 million the season afterwards. He was a little bit more successful when he was with us the first time on loan when we were down in League 2. We're 1-0 up against Arsenal, boys and girls. But he's been knocking around the lower leagues for a few years now since he left us the second time. Finished his career off, I want to say, at Boston. We can verify all this after the game, and he comes in as our new under-18s manager. But also, as part of that recruitment process, we identified another legend. We had to replace Joe Anderson with someone of equally legendary status, and it's not Sir Tom Elliott. He is still fully retired. We can't bring him in as much as I would want to. But we have sacked our head of youth development, Liam O'Neill, who's been with us all the way through from the Conference North, all the way through the entire save. But we've moved him on because James Ball wanted to be head of youth development. It's the only job he would accept. And you know what? He's James Ball. So he is our new head of youth development. He is back at Nuneaton. Hopefully, in addition to being head of youth development, I'd like to think he's just knocking around the dressing rooms a little bit, offering a little bit of that experience and team leadership and all that stuff that he did when he was here as a player. I don't know if that's how it works, but it's nice to have a legend coming in to replace the one who's just left. So James Ball and Miles Darwin in, Joe Anderson out, Luca Ercolani likes the Italian lower leagues. And I believe that brings us up to date on Kev's staffing update. And we're still beating Arsenal, which is quite remarkable, really. Jensen with the ball forward towards... Is that Nuhu? I don't know who that is there. I guess it could have been Kerr. And that looked like it went through the net and burst out the other side, but it hasn't been awarded as a goal, so I can only assume it went wide. And we're going to go in at half-time 1-0 up, which is, quite frankly, ridiculous. But we will absolutely take it, and I'll have a sip of my coffee to celebrate. Look at that tackle from Holmqvist. He spent a little bit of time out injured earlier this season, but he's coming back with a bang. More squad news as well. I've actually put Tommy Taggart on the loan list. He's still officially in the squad at the moment. I don't really want to let him go. I don't want to sell him because he's one of our highly influential players. So I'm thinking let him go out on loan and kind of sneak him out without having to transfer list him and upset him. So for the time being, Dos Santos isn't registered in our squad because he's a loan player. It doesn't matter if I upset him. This was all to accommodate Cutler coming in. So Dos Santos is currently not registered, but I would rather keep him in the squad than Taggart. So I'm hoping we can move Taggart out on loan somewhere during this window so that we can then bring Dos Santos back into the squad. If we then fail to sign him permanently in the summer, we've still got Tommy Taggart coming back in the summer to make up the fourth defender in the squad again. That's the current theory. Right, Stojanovic can come off for McAllister. I'm just going to swap those two over. Stick Hayes is the deep line playmaker and McAllister roaming. Did I cancel that then? Tell me I didn't cancel it. The game's just not responding. Amazing. No, I didn't cancel it. Splendid. Joksimovic has just won Premier League Player of the Month as well, which is obviously marvellous in the absence of Robinson while he's injured. Joksimovic is finally starting to show us he is the wonder kid we all thought he was, when he had Wonder Kid next to his name. I can't take much credit for identifying him as a wonder kid. The game did that for me. Coupler, though, not currently identified as a wonder kid. So if he ends up as good as he's looked in his first game for us, he's not been that good today, but he doesn't look out of place, then he's even younger. It's a fullback on the other side. I know I said I needed a centre-back and a striker on the last episode, and I know I've signed fullbacks and midfielders, but I'd like to think you've been watching my series for long enough now that that's exactly what you expected me to do. Lazic is coming on for Jensen for the last 10 minutes just to... I can't find the buttons. Just to add a little bit more attacking oomph up front. He's quick and he is a decent finisher, although he's not shown it very often this season. But he'll offer something a little bit different to what Jensen offers. Look at me trying to pretend there was a real reason for doing that, other than the fact that Jensen was the lowest rated attacking player on the pitch. And I didn't want to mess with the defence, because that's something I have learnt from the comments section. I rarely make substitutions, particularly at centre back now, but really in the defence as a whole, I tend to just leave the defence alone if they're having a good game. Obviously, if there's a disaster going on back there, I'll try and fix the disaster. But if we've gone 80 minutes keeping a clean sheet against Arsenal and our centre-back happens to have a 0.1 lower rating than our second striker, I'll probably take the striker off these days rather than messing around with a centre-back who's kept a clean sheet. So, even at the ripe old age of whatever I am now, probably nearly 55 in game, I guess, at this point, I'm still learning new things. Right, I would like a second goal because it's all Arsenal at the moment and it does feel like there's a goal coming. Joksimovic plays it forward to Nuhu forward to Nogueira, who keeps it in but then doesn't do anything with it, and Joksimovic has run past him and then not gone back again when Nogueira started messing around with it, and there's a man free in the middle, and that all goes back to Nogueira because I don't know what he was thinking, and maybe some of the youthful exuberance of Joksimovic, because Joksimovic, once he sees Nogueira start messing around, should probably just go and stand the other side of that guy who was there. He didn't. He's expecting Nogueira to win and play him through. Maybe a little bit too attack-minded for the situation. But you know what? He's a fullback with an attacking instruction, so I don't mind him being attack-minded. A 1-1 draw against Arsenal, we take that before the game starts. It'd be nice for us to go and steal a winner now. Nogueira plays Lazic in. Can he grab a goal? He hits the outside of the post and it goes wide. And we've got like 2.5 minutes left. I don't think we're grabbing that winner. This feels like one that got away. Hayes plays it forward towards Nogueira, and that be that, I think. 1-1 against Arsenal. We looked their equal, which is massive, really. I don't think we're going to be able to say that at the end of the Man United game, but let's go there and give it a good go. No changes for the Man United game, despite Brodic picking up a little bit of a knock. I don't even know what's wrong with him. His middle leg bit is hurt. A tight thigh. There we go. Seems like that would be an advantage for a footballer. You don't want a loose thigh, so I don't really see why that causes him a problem. Ergo, he can start. Plus, he's been so important to us in our run of form. Mainly since, I don't know if we've talked about this on the videos, I've converted him. I've converted him to a completely different kind of player. I've just given him a different instruction. He's now playing as a stopper, which I think it plays to his strengths. He comes charging out, kicks the ball really hard, heads the ball a long way. There's no finesse to Brodic, as you just saw with that free kick. Just hit it as hard as he could into the man nearest to him. That's how Brodic plays his football. And I think it's been helping him, giving the instruction to, just do that. That's what I want you to do. Just kick it really hard. If there's a man in the way, kick through him. It doesn't matter. But he has now got himself his tight thigh, which is disastrous. And we're losing 1-0 after 3 minutes against a team that have won all but 2 of their games all year and are so far ahead at the top of the league. We may as well just call it now. And I'd quite happily call it now because we're in 6th place. So if we do call it now, we get into the Europa League, which would be delicious. But apparently that's not how the league system works, even though Man United are 16 points clear at the top of the Premier League and it's still January. I mean, that is just insane. Luckily, none of the goals for this save involved me winning the Premier League, because that looks like a job that's going to take longer than the 4 or 5 seasons we've probably got left before FM19 comes out. What we need to do is find a way to sneak into that 4th place and then put all of our efforts on winning the Champions League and hope Man United have an off season so that we can sneak in ahead of them and grab a Champions League win and call ourselves the greatest football team in the history of the world, despite never coming close to closing that enormous gap at the top of the Premier League. Just a gulf in quality where every time we play Manchester United, they just absolutely thump us, just like they are today. 9 minutes on the clock, 2-0 down. We are entirely powerless to stop this as well, because I am not going to go there. I don't care if it's Man United. I don't care how good they are. We're going to go there and we're going to attack them. And if we lose, we lose. Today we will lose. That's fine. It's better than coming here and defending and losing, because at least today we've come here just trying to score as many goals as we can. If we manage to score one, huzzah, we nearly did that. It's a big chance for Jensen that he probably should have done a little bit better with. But I don't want to. If we were to come here to set our stall out to defend and then conceded after 3 minutes, imagine how heartbreaking that is. Whereas we're Nuneaton, we know we're going to concede 3 goals in most games. We're still playing as if it's any other game. We've still got a chance here. We could score 3 goals. We're not going to. We're going to lose. But at least we don't have to be disheartened. Of course, when we lose 9-0, that's probably going to harm morale just a smidgen. So I might end up regretting my decision, but I haven't regretted anything recently. I tend not to regret things. I do things my way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I will present piece of evidence A, Nuneaton in the top half of the Premier League. That's it. That's my evidence. That shows that the Kev way works eventually. You just have to take a long-term view on it, and eventually we will get there. We will win the Premier. We won't win the Premier League. We will win the Champions League. Nuhu is in and just really tamely hits it straight at the Man United goalkeeper. But at least we've now had a shot. Brodic does look like he's struggling a little bit. I think I've got Taggart on the bench and he probably needs to come off. What is Nuhu doing there? Presumably trying to stay onside, but it was a really weird sort of limbo move underneath the ball flying towards his head, and Vujicic makes a save. Marvellous. Perhaps I should have played Oliveira in this game like we did the last time we played Man United, and he conceded 5 goals, but it was some good goalkeeping practice. For a man who's not really playing apart from in the cup competitions, a game like this would feel like 5 or 6 games for Oliveira, and it would stop him from getting grumpy about never playing, which, to his credit, he's not grumpy about that yet. I think it's because we managed to convince him just to come in as a rotation option, which, as a goalkeeper, I don't really know what he's expecting. The other keeper's there as a key player, and I've told him he's a rotation option, and he hasn't got upset yet, so I guess playing him in the cups is enough. And we have a goal back just before half-time. Nuhu runs off doing a chicken dance. And you do that chicken dance. Can't speak. Use your words, Kev. You do that chicken dance because you just earned it. This was a good finish. And it's not over yet, boys and girls. Imagine if we were to grab another one. If we were to go in at half-time 3-2, all the momentum going our way, then we'd feel like kings of the world. Did that goalkeeper just do a chicken dance? Is he mocking Nuhu? Because I won't have that. Brodic with another big Brodic header. And look at him, just chasing a man ready to kick him. And in fact, Coupler comes in from the other side with a slide tackle that didn't give away a penalty. You can tell he's not fully bedded in as an Nuneaton player yet, because we're supposed to give penalties away there. What just happened? From what I can tell, Coupler makes a brilliant interception. Then we have Stojanovic just run over and say, "Don't worry, youngster, I've got this covered." And Coupler goes, all right, I'll, don't let Stojanovic tell you that he's got everything covered. Between the two of them, that should have just been thumped up that right wing. It's the 46th minute of the first half. We've just got a little bit of momentum back. The last thing we need is our reserve playmaking midfielder faffing about near the corner flag, giving away possession like that and costing us a goal. But the new guy isn't ready yet. Lacta, is that his name? He came in carrying an injury, so he's not going to be fit for another week or two yet. So we don't really have much of an option other than Stojanovic, because at the moment Moulin's not in the squad, so I took him out to register the new guy. I guess I could have kept him in the squad until we needed, because we're in January, we could have changed the registration around at any time. But you know what I'm like. I would have forgotten if I didn't do it there and then. And we'd have a new player come in who is not registered, and a player who was already here who I don't want, who is registered. Right, we have taken Brodic off now because I don't want to break him. We're 4-1 down. This game is already gone, and he came into it carrying a knock. So let's just let him have a rest for 20 minutes. He's been superb all season. Let's not break him just for the sake of a Man United game. Nogueira now, trying to find anyone in a blue shirt and doesn't really get there. And Hayes just kicks it straight into a Man United player as well. We look like Nuneaton against Manchester United here, which I know that's what's happening, but we're not supposed to look like Nuneaton anymore. We're a top half Premier League team. We might be in the Europa League next year. That's a big if. There was no if there, Kev. There was a big might. You don't get a lot of big might. Right, do we make a third substitution? Who we got? Wagner, McAllister, Lazic. I would say McAllister of that motley crew is probably most likely to come on and offer us a little bit of something. But realistically, with 15 minutes to go and 4-1 down away from home against the best team of their generation, it's probably not going to make any difference. But we'll bring McAllister on anyway, if for no other reason to teach Stojanovic a lesson in not being a moron with our new young right back, because he's ruined him a little bit there. And it's 5. Well, we lost 5-2 to them in the Carabao Cup when we put our reserves out. It was our first team with Oliveira in goal, but I'm going to call it the reserves because that's how you judge if it's the first team or the reserves. If we're using the backup keeper, it must be the reserves. So it would be nice to grab another goal and at least equal our 5-2 defeat from before. It didn't harm our form or confidence last time we were thumped by Man United. That might just be because it was in the Carabao Cup, or it might be because the game understands we're supposed to lose this game against this team because they're playing on a different level to the other 19 teams in the Premier League. They're a European elite team, and the other 19 of us are half-decent Premier League teams, apart from Southampton, bless them, who, if you can't see at the bottom of the screen, are on 6 points. We're on 33. Oh, remember when we used to be in relegation battles? I fully acknowledge we'll probably be in one again next year, especially if we get into the Europa League, because in my experience playing FM, when you have these long-term saves, the last big relegation scare you have is that first year you get into Europe, because you're not used to playing that many games. You realise your squad's not as big as you thought it was. And I'm already aware that I'm on a tiny squad because of the limitations of foreign players. And I don't have many homegrown, so I've got gaps in my squad. So we're effectively on a squad of 22 as it is. When we do qualify, we'll have problems unless we can sign some English players. But we're not going to worry about that for today, because for today, although we only picked up the 1 point, we do end the episode still in 7th place in the Premier League, 33 points on the board. We're like 4 points away from our highest ever points total in the Premier League, and it's the 12th of January. This has been a good season, and hopefully we can have a good run in now and either steal an FA Cup win, because we're still in that, or steal a Europa League qualification through the league. And that would then be the greatest season in the history of the world. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.